got breaking Titans news to get to you right here on Titans Today, as the coaching staff has now been filled out almost completely. They have officially hired their offensive coordinator. We give you the latest on who that is and why this hire makes sense, but wouldn't exactly be my first choice right here on Titans Today. I appreciate you hanging out with us. I'm your host, Jace Andrews, and let's get into it and say, who the heck is this guy? You see him on your screen. What's his name? Well, it's Nick Holz. This one coming from Jeremy Fowler saying that the Titans plan to hire Jaguars pass game coordinator Nick Holz as their offensive coordinator. Sources confirm. Veteran college and NFL coach, worked with Tennessee's head coach Brian Callahan with the Raiders. Holz and Callahan were also teammates at De La Salle High School in California. And now you officially have your, let's say, top three coaches. You've got your head coach in Brian Callahan as he completes his staff by hiring an offensive coordinator, Nick Holz, and then defensive coordinator Denard Wilson, who I still will say, absolute home run hire. Now, we don't have official word on special teams coordinator. I'm assuming that will come in the next coming days. Obviously, that was the one position that was vacated in the middle of the year last year when they fired their special teams coordinator. Now that position will be filled with Brian Callahan deciding who he wants. But I like this hire, but I'm telling you, this is a good coaching staff. This is a good coaching staff. Do you like the new look coaching staff? Well, if you do, well, then hit that sub button because we got Titans content coming out to you every single day. And now that we know who's the head coach, who's the OC, who's the DC, well, guess what? It just means free agency, well, it's on the horizon. T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans, who knows what the Titans could do? Lots of opportunities, but I'm telling you, we're going to be here all the time with breaking news, so hit that subscribe button because we have the latest on everything breaking news with the Tennessee Titans. Now, with this coaching staff having Brian Callahan, Denard Wilson, and a couple other coaches that we'll mention today, I kind of thought of something, and I thought this can only be compared to one thing as to how exactly this Titans coaching staff has all come together. And all I can say is, Titans coaching staff assembled. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, Brian Callahan, Rand Carthen have just come in here and have really knocked a lot of hires out of the water. Now, I'll talk about Nick Holz here in a minute and kind of where he fits into this. But overall, I've really enjoyed this past, I'd say, 48, maybe 72 hours when they've gotten their DC, their OC, and a couple other coaches who I really think are home run hires as well. But I'm telling you, it's a good time to be a Titans fan. They're really constructing this team in a positive manner. Let's go here first talking about Nick Holz and why this hire makes sense because, well, he's connected to Brian Callahan. Now, he was the offensive coordinator for your UNLV just 1 year ago, back in 2022. But this past year, he spent in 2023 as the passing game coordinator for the Jaguars. Now, he does have a relationship with Brian Callahan in multiple ways. Obviously, teammates back in high school, coached with him back on the Raiders staff back in 2012. They know each other, and in some ways, that's kind of the way that Brian Callahan has gone about assembling the staff, is getting people who he's really enjoyed and honestly likes working with. One important note, he will not call plays for the Titans. That is expected to be Brian Callahan's job. He will be calling plays. Now, Nick Holz comes in here and is going to help. He's going to help scheme the offense and really try and grow this team even better. And he worked with a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence last year. Now he'll get to work with Will Levis. Hopefully there's some sort of great growth this year in Will Levis. Now, I want to compare something here because he is the passing games coordinator. So, kind of like Denard Wilson was the DB's coach, we compared their passing yards allowed. Let's compare the yards per game in terms of passing for the Titans, the Bengals, and the Jaguars. Obviously, that's where Nick Holz comes from. That's where Brian Callahan comes from. This is where the Titans sat this year. 29th in the NFL, 180.4. Bengals were 15th at 229.9. That was also with Jake Browning in there for a good part of the season. And then the Jaguars, 242.2 yards per game. And I'll say this. I know that the Jaguars on paper have really good receivers, good quarterback, but still, 9th is pretty impressive for the team that didn't make the playoffs. So I think this is a pretty good hire considering that's the thing he was in charge of. And guess what? It worked out pretty well. So I want you to grade this Nick Holz hire because I know there's not a lot of information out there, so we're trying to do our best to give you kind of exactly why this hire makes sense and why it was the favorite for a long time that he was going to be the next OC. So I want you to get in the comment section and grade it A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know down in the comments. I'll give you my grade right after this. I'm going to go with B-. Now, the reason it's that is because it doesn't really matter. I think that ultimately it's not a bad hire. It's not exactly the best hire. The best thing that I can say is this. Brian Callahan's going to control the offense. It does not matter who exactly was going to be hired as the offense coordinator. Brian Callahan is going to be the one who will overall take control of this offense and make sure that it gets moving. Now, on top of which there's not really a lot of better people that fit the narrative, I think. I think there were better options in terms of coaches, but with the way Brian Callahan has constructed his staff, with the way he's come about this thing and said, hey, I'm going to try and make sure that I have everybody in my corner get with me, this was not the worst hire of all time. I don't think that. Plus, Holtz, he's really has some really strong coaches around him. So what do you mean by strong coaches around him? Well, guess what? Nick Holz was not the only coach hired in the past 24 hours. It's been a busy 24 hours for the Tennessee Titans. There's 2 other coaching hires that I mentioned were big names that I think were going to be really good ones. We'll tell you about those in just a second, but I'm telling you, when the Titans sign T. Higgins, when the Titans win the AFC South Championship next year, you're going to want to make sure to have your Titans gear on lock. And this 25% hat and shirt combo, guess what? It's Friday. Deal may end today. Chatsports.com/TEN combo. It may go through the weekend. Go check it out. Chatsports.com/TEN combo to get 25% off. It's a nice shirt. It's a nice hat. I'm telling you, they're both really, really nice to have. I'm going to get one myself, actually. So I'm going to use that code, 25% off. Pretty dang good. Really drops it off a good proportion. So, plus, again, if you don't want the hat, buy the shirt, give the hat to a friend. Make them a Titans fan. And hey, maybe you have a Titans fan in the making. Maybe there's somebody who has enjoyed what the Titans have done this offseason. You want to get them something. Guess what? Here you go. I'm telling you, it's easy, it's cheap, and it's right there in the description. Chatsports.com/TEN combo. All right, Cameron Wolf gives us one yesterday. If you missed the short we put out, here's what it was basically talking about. The Titans are hiring Tyke Tolbert as their wide receivers coach. Tolbert chose Tennessee over 2 other possibilities, in part due to Titans head coach Brian Callahan, who won a Super Bowl together with him in 2015 with the Broncos. Tolbert coached DJ Moore this past year to career highs in catches, yards, and touchdowns with the 2023 Bears before he was fired. This is a big hire here. I don't care what you say. This guy knows how to coach receivers, and ultimately, I think, again, the connection is there. The way that this staff has been put together, Denard Wilson probably is the one that doesn't exactly fit this mold. But since Brian Callahan has arrived here in Tennessee, he has done a lot of things with the staff. But the main thing he has done, getting people that he has connections with. Getting a guy who he worked with in Las Vegas in his OC. Getting a guy who he won a Super Bowl with in 2015 as his wide receivers coach. And, oh yeah, guy that he has no bigger connection to, also being hired. His father announced as the offensive line coach coming up here in Tennessee. And this was expected. This was noted multiple times, said that this was probably going to happen. But this is a good hire. I think this is one that people are going to say, oh, yeah, he's just hiring his friends and family. I mean, if his friends or family are top-tier coaches, sure. I don't know what the problem is with that. Especially with Bill, he's had a lot of experience in the coaching world. The Tennessean had a little article about him on the night they hired Brian Callahan, noting this on Bill Callahan. He comes from a coaching family. His father, Bill, is an offensive line coach for the Cleveland Browns, and former head coach of the Oakland Raiders in 2002 to 2003. He was also the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers from 2004 through 2007. Obviously, most recently, the Browns offensive line coach, which is somewhat where the Titans struggled. How do they compare in PFF rankings? Pretty dang good. Cleveland Browns in the past 4 years since Bill Callahan has taken over. They were number 22 in the PFF ranks this year with 3 injuries on their starting line. 3 of 5 were injured. Still got 22. Number 6 in 2022. Number 8 in 2021. And then back in 2020 when he took over, the number 1 offensive line. Meanwhile, the Titans, number 32. Number 16. Number 15. The 2 years you've been bad, your offensive line has been downright terrible. I don't know what else to say. This year may have been even worse than last year, and you were last year. Obviously, the sacks weren't the league leading. You allowed 64, whereas the Giants allowed 85. But there's a lot more that goes into the offensive line than just sacks. It's how you block for runs, how you block for pass, how you block for a lot of different schemes on the offense. And overall, it just wasn't good. There's nothing that I can sit here and say that, oh yeah, the offensive line did great at that. The offensive line did great at that. I don't think there was anything they did great at anything. Well, Levis was running around the pocket, 90% of the time he was playing. And obviously Ryan Tannehill got injured. Will Levis got injured. I don't want any more injuries. I'm tired of it, especially to my quarterback. So guess what? Now you have Bill Callahan, who has produced some top-ranking offensive lines, and it's a family connection. I want to know how excited you are for the Tennessee Titans 2024 season. Obviously, I know the season is, a long ways away, but it's not too early to get the excitement levels pumping. So let me know as 2024 comes about. Give me a scale, 1 through 10, 1 being least excited, 10 being most excited. How excited are you for the Titans 2024 season? Obviously, these hires, man, it's getting me real pumped up. So let me know what you're thinking, 1 being least excited, 10 being most excited. We appreciate you, Titans fans. As always, tighten up and peace out.